and welcome to Good Grief, the podcast dedicated to demystifying and destigmatizing grief with compassion and humor. I'm Nikki. I'm an end-of-life doula and a grief coach in Columbus, Ohio. And today I've got a special little treat for you. Well, I don't know if it'll be a treat. It's kind of sad, but as I told you, I was taking a little break in December, but I'd try to throw on some little one-offs and interesting side bits. So I'm going to read a quick story for you guys today. This story's been floating around the intertubes for a while now and was originally posted on a Reddit board called Glitch in the Matrix, which is what I read from time to time, where people can tell, stories of weird random things that happen in their life that feel like a glitch in the Matrix. But this story was posted originally, I think 8 or 9 years ago, probably longer than that. It was posted a long time back, but it's made its way around the internet a lot. And a lot of people have retold the story in different ways, but pretty much every time I've heard it, it's been credited back to the original post on Reddit. Although the person who posted it used a throwaway account. So as far as I know, we don't know who this person really was, but now, I'm going to do the best I can to tell the story on my own instead of reading it, because there's a different way to tell the story that I like a little bit better. So I'm not reading the exact original post. I will put a link to the post in the show notes. So if you want to read it, it's real short, but it's a little more interesting to tell this story in a different way. Bear with me. The original post is called Awoken by a Lamp. And again, this was story somebody told that they claim really happened to them. So there's a young man in college, and while he was in school, he met this beautiful young lady. It was absolutely love at first sight. She played a little hard to get. He kept pursuing her, but eventually she relented, and he won her over, and they were just immediately like the power couple of the campus. Everybody just adored these two, and after about 2 years of being together, they got married. Almost immediately after marriage, they had their first child, a daughter. He went on to get this wonderful job at a firm doing IT work, and was very successful in his job. But outside of his job, all he really cared about was spending time with his wife and his daughter. They were the absolute light of his life. He would go to work, but he would come home and immediately start playing with his daughter and making dinner with his wife. They would have these lovely dinners together every night, play games on the weekends, and they would take little camping trips, and they just had such a beautiful time. A few years go by, and they had a son. They had the second child of their marriage, and again, just another absolute beautiful joy in their seemingly perfect life. Every moment he possibly could, he devoted to spending with his wife and his 2 children. One day, after the kids went to bed, he went in to watch some television and was sitting on the couch and watching TV, and out of his peripheral vision, there was a red lamp. And it was one of those things where you see it and it's been there, but you never really noticed it before, and it was just a bright red lamp, but he kept staring at it because for some reason, the lamp was there, but it was inverted. Like, it was in 3D. It wasn't a projection. It was a physical lamp, but it was inverted, like upside down. And he just stared at it for an hour, just looking at it. It was one of those things where when you look right at it, it doesn't make sense, but out of the corner of your eye, it kind of does. And he just kept looking at this lamp. And he would look around the rest of the room, and everything else looked normal. The TV was fine. The couch was fine. The pictures on the wall were fine. But this lamp was just inverted, and just something about it felt really weird. He brushed it out of his head, said, maybe I shouldn't have had that beer after dinner. I'm just not feeling great. I'm just going to go to bed. Ignore it. Well, the next day comes and goes, and he goes to watch TV after his wife's putting the kids to bed. And out of the corner of his eye, he notices this red lamp again. And again, it's inverted, and it's just now really making no sense. And it's just one of those things where it's there, but he can't quite focus on it. And it's just almost moving and swaying. And he couldn't break his gaze on this lamp. He just stared at it obsessively. And every now and then he would start looking at other things in the room. They were all still normal. The TV's normal. And his wife came in later and saw him just fixated on this lamp. And she said, "Honey, are you okay?" And he said, I'm just not feeling well. I'm going to go to bed." But he didn't go to bed. He stayed up all night just staring at this lamp. And he started feeling like this lamp, it's not real. This lamp doesn't exist. How? It doesn't make sense. And then as he was thinking that, the lamp started like almost pulsing, and it was getting bigger and bigger and just swaying and kind of making weird movements and fuzzy on the edges. And it just got bigger and bigger until it was all he could see in his vision. And then all of a sudden, while staring at this lamp, it grew bright white in his eyes, and he felt blinding pain all through his body. And he opened his eyes, and he was looking up at the sky. And he blinked a few times and started to look around and realized he was laying on the grass in the quad at his college campus where he had gone to school so many years ago, where he met his wife. And he's looking around and he's wondering, how did I get here? What happened? Did I black out? And immediately a police officer ran up at that point, was helping him up, and said, "We're getting an ambulance, just stay still." And he's like, "Wait, what's going on? Where's my wife?" And the officers, I don't know. We have to take care of you right now. The officer scooped him up, ran him to the street where they, got him in an ambulance, took him to the hospital, where it was explained to him that he was walking across campus and a football player who was over twice his size just tackled him. He fell down, smacked his head on the ground, and went unconscious. He'd suffered massive internal injuries from this football player, but mostly he blacked out from a head injury. So what had happened was that entire life he had with his wife and children never existed. All of those years, all of those memories happened in just the span of maybe 30 seconds while he was unconscious. When he was told this, it clicked and it made sense, and he remembered walking across that campus and seeing the football player coming towards him. So that's the story. But what's interesting about this is, even in the story, after all this happened, he had to go to the hospital. He was there for a while. He went through well over 3 years of an absolute horrendous depression because he was grieving the loss of a wife and 2 children that never existed. So, yeah. And not only that, obviously he was grieving his own, sanity to a point, because he wondered, am I going insane? And he would cry himself to sleep night after night, hoping he would just maybe dream about his family again, because his family meant so much to him and they never existed. Whew, pretty deep. This is one of those stories that I heard it once not too long ago, maybe a year or so ago, but I can't forget it. I think about the story all the time because I just can't fathom waking up one day to realize the last several years of your life never existed, and that the people that you loved most aren't real. Now, who knows if the story is true, right? This was posted anonymously on the internet, so it could absolutely be made up. But even if it is a made-up story, what an amazing story, for somebody to think of all this and all these details. But and like I said, even if it is a story, what a strange and deep grief he must have felt. I just can't imagine. I mean, losing your family that does exist is hard enough, but to be told they never existed. So, we'll let that sit in for a minute. Well, thank you for tuning in. That's all I have. I just wanted to share that little quick story with you, and I hope I didn't bum you out. Well, anyway, thank you for tuning in. Thank you always for listening to me and tuning into my podcast. I hope everybody's doing well and you're having a lovely December. Don't forget to check me out on Patreon. You can also find me at, it's patreon.com/Nikki the Death Doula. You can also find me at nikkithedeathdoula.com or Nikki the Death Doula on Instagram, and reach out. I'd love to hear from you. Thanks. Have a good week.